Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm being joined by a gentleman that we all will hopefully get to know a little bit more about today. We're being joined by the Emergency Management Director, Mr. Zac Steele. Zac, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me. Glad to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, Zac. You know, when we talk about emergencies and various things, preparedness, all these things go hand in hand. And, you know, we like to plan to help hopefully to never have to have it, but always good to have it, right?
That's right.
Almost like insurance.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Zac, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Well, I'm Zac. I've been here in LaGrange just shy of 3 years as the Deputy Fire Chief for Troup County Fire Department, as well as Emergency Management Director, which is my primary role here. Obviously, when I got here, I'm a career fireman, and took on the EMA side. Was a new role for me, but unfortunately, January the 12th and February the 17th and March 26th of last year, I was forced into some EMA roles very quick and learned a lot serving our citizens throughout the 4 tornado outbreak of 2023 here.
That's right. I was about to say, if people didn't remember those dates, that's when we had back-to-back tornadoes,
Absolutely.
Right?
3 months in a row. We had 2 EF2s on January the 12th, an EF0 through downtown right here on the 17th of February. And then on the outskirts of West Point there, the 7800 block of West Point Road, we had the devastating EF3.
Mm-hmm. Now, in all those situations there, Zac, fortunately, we didn't have any loss of life, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Okay. And preparedness, how prepared do you think you and everybody else was for those events?
Well, we've all trained and been to education certification classes that have made us prepared to an extent, but I don't think you're ever prepared until you respond and recover from those types of events. But unfortunately, our resilient communities are much more prepared now than we were then. You always want to try to be proactive and not reactive, but we're learning from everything, trying to find ways to make everything better each and every time that we come into these disastrous situations that primarily involve weather on the emergency management side of the house.
That's excellent. Now, how, in your role, how do we go about preparing for things like that? What you train, you're training it, and then when you actually get an event like that, I'm sure your training prepares you, but then each event is different. How do you guys go through, or what are some of the training things that you go through?
Well, the biggest piece that we got that works for us is networking.
Okay.
We work with everybody. We call them blue sky days in the emergency management world. We're working with each other. It could be the most smallest task, but you're building those relationships, you're networking, you're meeting other people throughout the 3 cities or the county, and getting better prepared. And when you learn to work together in the non-emergency setting, when it comes into disaster and everything flips upside down, it's a duck on the pond. You're able to just slide across it, and everybody works better together, knowing each other and having those relationships. If you get into a disaster situation and large response, and you don't have these networking relationships, it becomes a struggle to maintain those. Now, you talk about networking, blue sky days. Networking, I know you got Troup County, City of LaGrange, I guess entire Troup County, all of the first responding agencies, is that correct? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about City of Hogansville, City of West Point, City of LaGrange, and the unincorporated parts of Troup County. So there's a lot of different moving parts, especially when you start talking about a countywide disaster that includes all 4 governments.
Then when you have an event like a tornado, and of course the devastation that takes place, what is one of the first things that you all try to do as far as stabilization of a neighborhood that has been hit by a tornado?
Well, we try to stay out in front of it. If we see watches and warnings coming through, we try to activate the Emergency Operations Center, and we have the proper, what we call ESFs. It's the Emergency Support Functions. It's somebody from each discipline of public safety as well as some other parts. We try to put those decision makers in a room together, and we try to coordinate our response to that. And it could be, if it's something very similar to, I'm going to use the West Point tornado as an example. It's right outside the city limits of West Point, but because of the close proximity to the city of West Point, we utilized public safety resources from the city of West Point. Much like, the January 12th tornado, we had county resources inside the city when you start talking about some of that disaster. So coordinating the response and make sure you don't duplicate the efforts and sending too many personnel there is the key to that, and getting out in front of it as quick as you can.
Okay. All right. Now, a lot of times I know we used to have one downstairs in our offices, the weather radio. What's your stance on those? Do people have them, or what's your opinion on that?
They're few and far between now, but they're very useful tools, especially what we're seeing now in some of the tornado sirens in the county no longer being repaired. We depend on Civic Ready, which is our mass notification system through cell phones, smartphones. But a lot of times in senior citizens, you see that still have the landline phones or maybe a flip phone or not a cell phone at all. Those weather radios are the best way they can have to get notified of severe weather. And they can be programmed to the settings they prefer, whether they want severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado watches, all that stuff. Those are in there. And we're actually pursuing some grants right now to try to find a way to purchase a lump sum of those to pass out to people in our community that has a need for those.
Okay, that's very good. Now, you know, you guys can only do so much, and we're greatly appreciative of what you do, don't get me wrong. What can citizens do in their own individual homes to prepare for things of this nature?
Well, have a plan. Always know where you're going to go, and monitor the weather. That's the biggest thing is, you know, unfortunately, a lot of times these things, especially the significant wind events that could be tornado or straight line winds, they sneak up on you. People are not prepared. They don't know where to go in their house. They don't have a kit that has emergency stuff ready for them, whether it could be, you know, emergency contact list if your cell phone gets ruined, even down to some small food and water, non-perishable stuff that until some assistance can get to you, if you get in a bad situation, you have this stuff readily available to you.
Okay. Good points there. Emergency kit, contact list, food, just about 30 days supply? I hear that sometimes generally.
Yeah, and that can be a lot for some people, but if you can have, you know, a day or two worth of stuff, that's always, think about if your world stopped right now out of the normal, what would you need for 24, 48 hours till somebody could get to you to help you? And that's always important to think about those essentials. And that could be down to medications.
That's right.
Things like that, things that you take for granted sometimes of having readily available for you is very important.
Absolutely. Good tips there. Yeah, I want to kind of shift it a little bit more because you guys, we had a Valor Award that took place a week or so ago. And I know that you, along with some of the other first responders, were honored. Talk a little bit about that for us, if you don't mind, Zach.
Well, it was a huge honor. But, you know, we don't do these things for the awards, but I appreciate being recognized among my peers. But emergency management is a team effort. You have a director at the top, but it's the people that work on your team that make it work. And if I tried to name them all, I'd leave somebody out and I'd feel terrible about it. But those guys and girls out there know who they are, and it takes an entire team to win something like that. So it might have my name on it, but that team won that award, and I'm super grateful for those people that helped get me there.
Very good. You know, I wasn't in attendance, but I did hear about it, and the opening of that event, I would say, was just so surreal. It seemed like kind of like the lightning flash in the darkness and everything. And you were talking a little bit about a moment ago, if our world kind of stopped all of a sudden because of a disaster, that's the way it normally is, right?
Yeah, and you know, it comes out of nowhere. And I remember the January 12th tornado. You know, it was we got a call from the weather service said, "Hey, this is coming out of Selma, Alabama. You're going to get hit in 45, 50 minutes.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you know, he was like, are you watching it? And I'm like, well, I'm watching my TV. And he said, yeah, just keep an eye on this. And he called back at 15, 20 minutes from the National Weather Service office, said, it's tracking your way. And then he called back 5 minutes and he said, take cover. He said, tornado warnings issued. Y'all are going to get hit. Wow. And what came into the northern part of the county from Alabama and that ended up spawning the second storm right here in downtown LaGrange. That rode all the way to Griffin, turning into an EF3. So, you know, it happened so quick, and that time we had a little bit of heads up, unlike the March storm where we had no heads up at all. It went from a severe thunderstorm warning to tornado warning in 2 minutes. Wow. So, it's just like that. Sky turns gray, and it's over that quick.
The severity of it, too. I can remember being here at City Hall when the one came down through downtown, and the calmness just before it came through.
It's really scary.
It is. That's what's so scary about it. It's all, you know, it's just like very eerie outside and everything. Well, you know, again, you guys do a wonderful job. How can citizens get involved? Like, you know, just to kind of learn a bit more about what you all do, you know, your various meetings, are they open to the public? How can citizens get more involved?
Yeah, absolutely. We host a monthly meeting. We call it the Emergency Planning Committee. If a citizen wanted to sit in on some of that and understand what we do and what we talk about, they're certainly welcome to.
Okay.
in the future, we'd like to host some CERT team training, which is kind of citizens getting involved in that. But it takes resources to do that. We're certainly looking at any avenues we can to be able to do stuff like that. But the biggest thing is just staying alert. We use that Civic Ready platform for mass notifications. We send stuff out like that. Just stay vigilant and understand that, even 2.5 years ago, we weren't necessarily a tornado alley, if you will, but within 3 months we had 4. So just don't take that mentality and mindset that it can't happen here, it can't happen to me, because it certainly can, and it can happen on a dime. But education's the biggest thing on that. And, with it being Emergency Preparedness Month, too, we're working with our communications manager for the county, Caroline Johnson, to send out weekly updates on that, making a plan, staying prepared, making these kits, things like that as well.
Oh, okay. Now, the kits that you all are making, those for citizen distribution, or is that just for you guys?
Well, we're not making a kit as much as we're talking about in that list of, things, like I mentioned earlier, about what you might need in that kit.
Oh, okay.
So just trying to educate our public as best we can.
Very good, very good. Well, anything that we could do here at LGTV to help get the word out about what you guys do, the preparedness kits is very needed, and I'm sure it's better, again, like that insurance, better to have it than don't need it than need it and don't have it.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. Well, definitely, Zac, I want to thank you for coming on today and being my guest and just getting this information out. We definitely want to have you come back on to kind of talk a little bit more about those preparedness and how citizens can continue to get themselves involved and help us to make sure that Troup County, West Point, our entire citizens remain safe.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir.
Zac. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week coming up in just a moment.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Welcome to City Scenes. I'm your host, Lynn Holle from Visit LaGrange. Today we're going to be talking about just a few of the events that will be occurring in and around our area during the week of September 23rd through September 29th. So let's get started. Friday, September 27th at 7 p.m., Strange LaGrange tours in downtown LaGrange. Get spooked on this walking tour of downtown LaGrange, Georgia, and hear stories of UFOs, native legends, jailhouse ghosts, and more. Led by the gregarious Southern Spirit Guide and docent Lewis Powell, it's a combination haunt jaunt, history lesson, and an overall great way to get to know the city, up close and personal. Also on Friday, September 27th, starting at 8 p.m., Lyle Lovett and his large band at Sweetland Amphitheater. A singer, composer, and actor, Lyle Lovett has broadened the definition of American music in a career that spans 14 albums. Coupled with his gift of storytelling, the Texas-based musician fuses elements of country, swing, jazz, folk, gospel, and blues in a convention-defying manner that breaks down barriers. Since his self-titled debut in 1986, Lyle Lovett has evolved into one of music's most vibrant and iconic performers. Among his many accolades, besides the 4 Grammy Awards, he was given the Americana Music Association's inaugural Trailblazer Award and was named Texas State Musician. Saturday, September 28th, beginning at 9:30 a.m., the LaGrange Shrine Club Cornhole Tournament, which will be at Nutwood Winery. Come out Saturday, September 28th to the Vineyard at Nutwood Winery and enjoy a fun-filled day of cornhole with LaGrange Shrine Club. They will have first, second, and third place prizes, a 50-50 drawing. The cost is $30 per person, $50 per team. Sign up starts at 9:30 with the first toss at 11. This will be a great time and a big event. So mark your calendar and come out and enjoy a Saturday of cornhole, good wine, and fellowship at Nutwood Winery with the men of LaGrange Shrine Club. Saturday, September 28th, beginning at 7:30 p.m., Christopher James and his band at Pure Life House of Music. It wasn't until he sat behind a drum set, fueled by teenage angst, that Christopher began his musician's journey. From there, he taught himself guitar, piano, and bravely how to sing. What is seen now on intimate stages like the iconic Eddie's Attic in Decatur, Georgia, to theater stages such as the Capitol Theater in Clearwater, Florida, is the concentrated influences and earnest emotional exposition that solidifies Christopher as the Americana soul force to be encountered and experienced. For tickets, go to purelifelagrange.com. And closing out on Saturday, September 28th, the rescheduled Kid G and Will Mosley concert at Sweetland Amphitheater. Growing up in the small Georgia town of Hamilton, Kid G first found fame online through TikTok, where he got his start posting songs he'd recorded with his friend Noli Beats. In 2020, he caught the attention of Rebel Music, who signed him on the strength of his genre-warping talents. While early tracks like his debut single, Sorry, leaned toward traditional hip-hop, he later brought an element of old-school country into his songwriting. As he continued posting his music on SoundCloud, Kid G soon amassed a dedicated following, undeniably drawn to his hometown charm and the honest detail of his lyrics. For tickets, go to sweetlandamp.com. Those are just a few of the events that will be happening in and around our area during the week of September 23rd through September 29th. For more information, visit our websites at visitlagrange.com/events or go to the City of LaGrange's calendar page, which is lagrangega.gov, for more information. Have fun and stay safe.
Welcome back, City Week, and we just want to say thank you to Lynn for bringing us that lineup of events that will be taking place. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from the Deputy Chief and also the EMA Director. I had on Zac Steele as he talked about emergency prepared readiness. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't happen to have your weather radio, you might want to invest in that and also make sure that you have your emergency preparedness kit. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed those tips that came from our Emergency Management Director, Zac Steele. Hope you enjoyed that interview. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.